Good. Okay, once again, we'll bring the September Graphics Commission meeting into session. Mr. Freeze, you have preliminary matter.
Yes, we do have one preliminary matter. There is a appeal on the agenda for GC 23-034-845 North Wilson Road. Typically, the code enforcement officer would present, and then the appellant would then present, but I believe the appellant would like to speak first.
Mr. Miller,
If I may, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission.
Want to do swearing in?
it's your job.
I just want to be guided by you.
Absolutely.
The author.
Please.
Okay, for everybody in the room, if you anticipate providing any testimony today at all, please just raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that all the information you'll provide today will be the truth, nothing but the truth, to the best of your belief and or knowledge, if so say I do?
I do.
Okay.
And if you could just confirm with each person that they've been sworn.
Sure.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, thanks for your time this evening. Joe Miller on behalf of Barron's Bus and 845 Wilson LLC. I'm seeking to table this appeal for 60 days this evening. The upshot of which is if we were to proceed tonight, you would hear that the violations of any consequence have been remedied. We've asked for the order of violation to be withdrawn. There are just, the only issue remaining are some small directional signs that we have left there for safety, life safety reasons. And Ms. Lafferty couldn't be here tonight, the code enforcement officer assigned to the case, but she thought that it likely we could work that out with her and the staff to present a graphics plan that would meet with your approval and take this appeal off your plate.
Great. Can I have a motion to table this appeal?
I'd like to make a motion to table this appeal.
Can I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
We need to vote individually or? All right, go ahead.
Mr. Cavaliers,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Hoy,
Yes.
Mr. Rumbaugh,
Yes.
Chair Cooperman.
Yes. And you're tabled.
Thank you
Good luck.
very much. Thank you.
Do I need this then?
So I don't know if there are folks here, everyone, yes, we don't matter, so I'll just check. No.
I got it. Let's call our first case then. Case number GC 23-021855 West 3rd Avenue. Please come forward. Mr. Freeze, this is your case?
Yes.
Fire away.
All right. GC 23-027 855 West 3rd Avenue is located at the southwest corner of West 3rd Avenue and Yard Street. The site is zoned M manufacturing and is in the 5th by Northwest Area Commission. The site is currently undeveloped. Surrounding uses include a grocery store and fuel station to the north, a retail and medical center to the west, an eating and drinking establishment to the east, and multi-unit commercial to the south.
Hold on, these slides are.
You're in the slideshow now.
Good bird. Well, the first one was mislabeled. Okay. Mislabeled. All right, these are the correct slides. Got it.
All right. The applicant proposes to construct a two-tenant building with a bank in the northern half, directed towards West 3rd Avenue and subject to GC 23-019, and a commercial office in the southern half. The building is being designed to allow a bump out with an elevation directed towards West 3rd Avenue. It's on this elevation that the applicant proposes an off-premises wall sign that will display Grandview Yard, and this requires a special permit. The 5th by Northwest Neighborhood Plan and Columbus Citywide planning policies recommend that buildings should be designed to address the street and enhance the pedestrian experience through appropriate signage. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments, and the 5th by Northwest Area Commission recommends approval. City staff can recommend approval as the proposal in question is consistent with the 5th by Northwest Neighborhood Plan and Columbus Citywide planning policies, design guidelines, and staff also notes that the signage relates to the overall branding of the broader development. Our only conditions, the site plan and elevations will be stamped to identify the size and location of the off-premises graphic. Mr. Chairman.
Hi, can you please state your name for the record?
Neil Brown, SciComm.
And can you acknowledge that you've been sworn in?
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead and present your case.
We have been working on this project for the last probably 4 months or more. This is really to identify this sort of northern entrance into Grandview Yard. We have other gateway signs, for instance, at the south end of Yard Street that identify the southern entrance into Grandview Yard. And this is an appropriate solution for a northern gateway into the neighborhood.
Does anyone have any questions?
So is it electronic?
Yes, internally illuminated channel letters mounted to a flat cabinet, essentially to disappear, painted the same color. The cabinet is painted the same color as the building's facade there, the fin feature. So that we didn't have to put a whole bunch of additional holes into the fascia of the building.
So it's only going to display Grandview Yard?
Correct.
Yeah, it's not automatic changeable copies,
Gotcha.
but it is, yeah.
And there's no other additional signage facing north, so it's not causing a problem with clutter.
Thanks.
Anyone else? Is there anyone else that would like to testify as to this case? All right, we don't need to approve a finding of fact. This isn't a variance, correct?
Say that again?
We don't need to approve a finding of the fact. There's no variance.
Yeah, just it's graphics, fine.
It's a special permit.
No, if it's a special permit, you should still do a finding.
Okay.
But again, it could just be the kind of straightforward, statement that I offered.
All right, would someone like to make a motion for the straightforward finding?
I'll make it. I'll try.
Go for it.
I move to approve the special permit as stated by the applicant and staff.
Second? Second. Okay. We can go ahead and vote on that.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Well, actually, you're voting on
Yeah.
finding the facts.
Correct.
Okay.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Rumbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Cavaliers?
Yes.
Chair Cooperman?
Yes, and now can I have a motion to approve the application based on finding of the fact?
I'll make a motion to approve application GC 23-021.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, we can vote to approve.
Mr. Horn?
Yes.
Mr. Rumbaugh?
Yes.
Mr. Cavaliers?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Chair Cooperman?
Yes, and the application is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next case is GC 23-027, 4260 Indianola Avenue. Please come forward. Jamie, your case again.
Yes. 4260 Indianola Avenue is located on the east side of Indianola Avenue at the terminus of Springs Drive. Site is zone C4 commercial and is located within the Clintonville Area Commission. The subject site is built with a commercial office building. Surrounding uses are commercial to the north and south and residential to the west. The applicant who owns the day spa on the property to the south, or this one's fine. On the property to the south, sorry, that one. Which has parking up to the right-of-way line, proposes to install an off-premises ground sign on the subject site to the north to identify our business. Section 337801 states that a special permit shall be required to allow the installation of any permanent or temporary off-premises sign not specifically provided for in this code. The neighborhood plan states that signs are recommended to be placed such that they are keeping with scale, size of the general landscape. Staff notes that the sign is existing and the proposal would reface an existing sign and legitimize its off-premise location. Planning staff is supportive. The Division of Traffic Management has no comments and the Clintonville Area Commission recommends approval. City staff will recommend approval as the sign is existing and the proposal would reface the existing sign and legitimize its off-premises status. Similar condition to the previous one, the off-premises graphic located on parcel 010-079922 may only display copy for uses located on the parcel abutting directly to the south, parcel 010-079889. Mr. Chair.
Hi, can you please state your name for the record?
My name is Sherry Gunn.
And you've been sworn in?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go ahead and present your case.
I am the owner of Open Sky Day Spa. And I would like to replace the existing sign with an updated cooler sign. The The sign current sign is on my neighbor's property, which is a warehouse. I met with him and he gave me permission, to replace the sign and keep as in the same spot. I am unable to, put the new sign on my property due to a gas line. It's recommended that the sign be installed 4 feet north or 4 feet south of the gas line. 4 feet north is exactly where it is right now. 4 feet south would take up parking space.
It's a special permit because it's on a different parcel.
Yes.
Yes.
On premise.
Got it. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant?
Is that a depiction of the actual sign that's going up or?
Yes, that is the actual sign. Yes, correct.
And you understand the conditions that staff has recommended and you're okay with them?
Yes.
Okay, is there anyone else that'd like to speak to this case? Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the finding of the fact based on the testimony?
I'll make a motion to approve the finding of facts as stated by staff. Yeah, supports it.
Can I have a second?
A second.
Okay, can we vote on approving the finding of fact?
Mr. Rumpel,
Yes.
Mr. Cavallers,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Hoy,
Yes.
Mr. Koopman.
Yes, and now can I have a motion to approve the application based on the finding of the fact? Anyone?
I'd like to make a motion to approve GC 23-027 and 4260 Indianola Avenue based on the finding of facts by the applicant.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, you can vote.
Mr. Cavallers,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Hoy,
Yes.
Mr. Rumpel,
Yes.
Mr. Chair Koopman.
Yes, and your application is approved.
Thank you very much.
And our final. There it is. In our last case, GC-028, 2900 Morse Road. Please come forward. And Mr. Smedley, this is your case.
Yeah, 2900 Morse Road is located on the north side of Morse Road, approximately 1,250 feet west of Westerfield Road. It is zone LC4 and located in Northlands Community Council. The 4.5 acre site is currently developed with a car dealership. Surrounding uses include single unit residential to the north, commercial directly to the west and east, with manufacturing further to the west, and mixed commercial and 2 schools to the south. The applicant proposes to repeal all previous graphics actions to be replaced with a graphics plan including 4 wall signs and 2 ground signs. The site has been subject to 3 previous graphics actions in 2006. Unfortunately, I looked through our database and wasn't able to get much information from those because it's pretty bare. Planning states that they're generally supportive of the proposal, but request modifications to the ground sign. Northland area plan states signs are recommended to be placed in size such that they are in keeping with the size and scale and size of the building facades and general streetscape, and do not obstruct or interfere with architectural lines and details. It also states that excessively large signs that interfere with visual character are discouraged, and that signs should be coordinated with building architecture in terms of material and color. The directional sign is appropriate size and scale in relation to the building and therefore supported by planning. Additionally, staff support the variance from the limestone base as the graphics package is consistent with guidelines stating signs should be coordinated with building architecture in terms of material and color. The plan discourages excessively large signs, thus staff do not support the height variance of the ground sign as presented, but potentially support a sign of reduced height. Division of Traffic Management has no comments. Northland Community Council recommends disapproval of this request. The staff recommends disapproval of the requested graphics plan because the ground sign is disproportionate to the other signs. The staff feels the sign is unnecessarily large. All other signs that are part of this graphics plan are appropriately sized and are consistent with the building's architecture. Staff could recommend approval of the ground sign if the overall height were reduced to 6 feet.
Hi, could you please state your name for the record?
Jim McFarland, Zoning Resources.
And you've been sworn in?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and please present your case.
We appreciate the opportunity to present the graphics plan modification, and Hyundai is going through a regional graphics refurbishment, rebranding in many locations. We're also going to be coming to you for another location on Georgesville Road for comparable sign packages. In this case, we stressed it's important to reduce the size of the existing sign that was there presently, sign number 1 from currently it's 33 feet in height. It's a dual pole internally illuminated graphic as well. It's larger in size and scope than what we're proposing in sign A. Sign A is a reduction from 33 feet height down to a height of 25 feet. And we do believe that it is an undue hardship to bring it down to the height of a vehicle. 6 feet is approximately the size of most of the SUV vehicles and things will be placed around here as well. There's an architecture feature going to be placed adjacent to this sign that will be elevated about 6 feet to start. That'll be a big block brick area for a showcase vehicle, which will be putting its overall height approximately 12 to 15 feet. So a 6 foot high monument sign would just not be viewed and be completely it wouldn't even need to put one in there. So we are trying to be consistent with the intent of the code. We feel like it's important to reduce the overall graphics on this site as well as there's an overall reduction in the graphics. If you looked at other wall signs, these signs are smaller than what's existing. Even with the name brand change from Dennis to Great Lakes, we've reduced the logo on sign 5 to just have the word service. And with the changes in technology, we're trying to reduce the amount of graphic light in terms of directional because of EV charging, which is a new feature in a lot of locations. It's essential for the safe navigation of customers and those who may not be that need to get a charge so they can clearly see where they need to go on this property, even if they're not going to purchase a vehicle, to be able to charge their electronic vehicle. We do feel that this is consistent with the Hyundai brand. We think that a monopole type style is much more appropriate. It's more modern. It's clean. We're trying to honor the city's code to try to kind of move away from these dual pole type structures that are excessively high. Again, Hyundai is respectful of the code and is trying to make this as consistent as possible. It does meet the same height as the building itself, so we're trying not to be excessively tall and feel that's important due to the setback and the speed and the mass factors available in terms of Morse Road being able to have a height so that folks that are traveling up and down Morse Road can see that the Hyundai quickly, as they may not necessarily see those wall signs until they're perpendicular in front of it.
I have a couple questions here. So sign number 1, if that's existing?
Correct.
And it's 33 feet.
Correct.
And the second sign that we're proposing, the replacement sign is 21 feet.
25.
No, so
The area is 21 square.
I'm sorry. This application, it doesn't mention in the application that this is a variance. Is this a variance request?
It's a graphics plan.
Huh?
Graphics plan.
Take the graphics plan. Anyone else have any questions?
I do. I see in the photograph here, it looks like Kia. Is that part of their property too? I see it back bottom to the right. Looks pretty tall, but it doesn't look as tall as 25 feet. Well, what would that one be?
I'm not aware of what the height of the Kia is.
I mean, you see it there, right?
Yeah, I see that in the image there. And I don't know how to do that sign either.
So what height do you think you would be comfortable with bringing it down to?
25 feet from where it's at. Right now it's at 33 feet.
That's a pretty far difference between 6 feet. And I get the 6 feet.
I mean, it's classed as monument, but it could be, if it were on a different structure, would be considered freestanding. So we're trying to, the definition kind of restricts our ability to meet a height. If this were on a single pole, we'd be asking for a different kind of variance if we needed to, because it'd be on a monopole or single pole. This is a monument structure.
I'm sorry, is it Zach? Is that you?
I'm Jim McFarland.
Were you at the Northland Area Commission?
Zach was at the Northland Area Commission.
Okay, so were you there?
I was not.
Okay, I just know that they voted 13-1 against it. Did he tell you anything about like why they didn't like it?
Yes, they've never approved anything larger than 8 foot in their, anything in terms of their association. So, and we knew that ahead of time that we would not be receiving their support regardless of any arguments, that they just do not support any graphic higher than 8 foot.
Why don't we hear from him? Is there anyone else like to speak to this case? Please come forward. You've been sworn in.
I have.
Please state your name for the record.
Yes, my name is Dave Paul. Move the mic over. One thing that staff didn't at least clearly mention, and it wasn't mentioned in the staff report, this area is actually part of the Morse Road Regional Commercial Overlay. And to the chair's question, this graphics plan incorporates variances from several sections, including the Morse Road RCO. Morse Road RCO has a requirement that signs within 10 feet of the, and I'm sure staff will correct me, within 10 feet of the right of way are limited to 6 feet, over 10 feet setback, 8 feet. So do I have that right, Jamie?
Yes.
Okay. And so what Mr. McFarland related is that we have never supported an application that deviates from the Morse Road RCO, because for the RCO to work and be effective at reducing visual clutter and improving the aesthetics of the corridor, over time is the way it works. As these applications are submitted and approved, we bring the signage down, in effect, to street level. And that's what the purpose of this provision in the RCO is to change the scale of signage along this Morse Road RCO. I will mention, by the way, the RCO was cited by Kevin Wheeler as one of the reasons that the Morse Road corridor is now part of the Zone In initiative. It kind of changed the character of this to a more community scale. So I actually corresponded with Mr. Cowan, Zach, in June and explained to him, first of all, called his attention to the requirements of the RCO. And in fact, I think he used the phrase non-starter as to the 25-foot height rather of the sign that was proposed. I was pretty certain the committee would not support it. I will tell you that our committee, by the way, does not review staff's report prior to reaching our own conclusions, making our own recommendations. But the committee recognized that basically the applicant, despite having been informed of the requirements of the RCO in June and several times thereafter, had made no effort to comply with the requirements of the RCO. And consequently, they recommended disapproval of the application. We did ask Mr. Cohen at the meeting why the applicant was insisting on a 25-foot sign. And the only answer he could give us was that they wanted to be consistent in terms of trade dress between this location and other Hyundai locations. But we're talking about a parcel less than 5 acres. In fact, that requirement, that 6 and 8 foot requirement, is limited to parcels less than 5 acres along this corridor. In this case, parcels less than 5 acres, not at the auto mall. At the auto mall, this 25-foot sign might make sense. I appreciate your indulgence in letting me talk a little longer than 3 minutes.
When did the RCO start? You know that?
Ooh,
2007.
yeah, it's been quite a while.
So this sign, that the 33-foot sign that's in place, was approved prior to that date?
Yes, that's a non-conforming sign as far as the RCO
It's
is.
a height issue, not a square footage issue. All around, right? That sign on the.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, instead we have a different conversation if you put this on a single pole. Is that accurate?
Yeah, pole signs are prohibited.
I will say also, like staff and planning, I think, made the comment that they would support the other signs in this graphics plan. We agree. We didn't really have any problem with any of the other signage, the wayfinding signs or the wall signs. If this was just a set of variances, we probably would improve variances for those. Since it's a graphics plan, our committee chose to recommend disapproval of the plans.
You realize if we deny this, then you're going to keep the 33-foot, which is actually higher than what he's requesting.
Unless the applicant chooses to reconsider their position, then yes, I guess so, but.
Okay, just curious. Anyone else have any questions? Mike, you want to say something?
Well, yeah, and that was what I was gonna say. They could just reface non-conforming, existing use of a non-conforming sign that they have. They choose to do that.
Good.
But yeah, I have to support your view is, I mean, you would support an 8-foot sign.
We would, 8 feet, beyond 10 feet setback, 8 feet is permitted within the RCO by right.
Now,
So
square footage, you know, they have whatever that square footage is, but at the 8-foot, what would the graphic be?
I believe it's 80.
80?
yeah, I'm gonna defer to Jamie, but I think he's correct.
Yeah, so, sign setback greater than 10 feet from the right of way shall not exceed 8 feet in height, have a maximum overall sign area not to exceed 80 square feet. With the graphic area, okay, so there's a difference, the graphic area not exceeding 50 square feet.
Okay. But I think that, well, I don't know, seems like. Would you want to, Mr. McFarland, would you consider tabling it and reconsidering the position?
Tabling for till when,
Next meeting.
which is 2 weeks.
Almost.
Or Tuesday of October.
So it's, you're gonna, if you vote, then it's for the whole package, correct? It's an up or down for everything?
You could bifurcate them.
Well, the graphics plan, so.
No, you're right, so you could, yeah.
I mean, right now, it seems like,
I'm a little confused just from the standpoint, like in Northland Community Council Development Committee, you're viewing this as a variant. I mean, this application is not a variance, it's just a graphics plan.
Correct.
So we don't have to grant a variance.
You can't grant.
we have to approve a graphics plan.
Right, well, that's my point. Like, this is being presented as if it's a, variance from the code, but it's just a graphics plan.
Right, and you can state that for the record, that if all signs, the graphics commission approves all signs with the exception of sign A, and then have it come back, either reapply, table, or adjust sign A to your liking.
Sure, no, but I don't think we can bifurcate. I mean, it's a graphics plan, I think.
But, I mean, you're calling that out, you're kind of amending it on the floor. So the graphics plan will be basically Xed out, and is there a written plan, or is it just images?
There should be in the.
So, yeah. I'm just saying you have the ability to.
Which would help the customer because they could get moving on the other signs, I guess. And then it would come down to just that main pylon sign.
Because oftentimes when we have a customer come in and say they already have a code compliant plan, but they need a graphics plan for directional signs or multiple ground signs. The code compliant sign is code compliant, it may have a permit. In fact, we're now urging people not to do graphics plans for everything if it's code compliant. So the graphics plan is tailored to specific signs in that plan.
But if your graphics plan varies from the code, aren't you required to apply for a variance?
Yeah, but I'm saying if it's code compliant, for example.
But that's my point, like, there is no, like, in this application, I don't see any statement of hardship, I don't see, it's not included.
The applicant, if I may, the applicant referred to the variances that they're requesting in effect as allowances. They are described on a particular page in the application, but they didn't refer to them specifically as variances. They referred to them as allowances. We view them as the same thing.
Right, the verbiage would say, typically what would be allowed is this type of sign, this height, this graphic area. Our graphics plan is deviating by presenting this.
Right, and in every application I've read in the however decade I've been here, I've never in my life seen an application where it varies from the code and the applicant hasn't requested a variance.
Well, I mean, the code says a graphics plan shall not be used in lieu of variances, but can grant variance.
Right, but that should also be included, that it doesn't say anywhere in here that a variance is being requested. That's my
I
point.
guess it's kind of assumed then. By granting a graphics plan, you're.
Robert, do you understand my,
Yeah, if you could bear with me for 1 second.
because in every graphics plan graphics plans, if it varies from the code, it mentions it. So you're applying in the application for both. Here, it just says it's a graphics plan.
Well, that's not necessarily true. I mean, a graphic plan, go ahead, Robert.
There's language in 3387.07, which is the graphics plan. In the subsection B6, it says said graphics plan shall in no way be used so as to grant a variance from or decrease the standards or requirements of the zoning code applicable to the underlying zoning of the subject parcel.
Right.
So that's pretty explicit that adoption of the plan doesn't grant a variance.
But then I think if you read
That's my
further,
point exactly.
but if you read further, it says the graphics plan can like augment it. What does the next section say?
No, the next section is E. No minimum or maximum size shall be required for a parcel to be subject to a graphics plan, except that the special circumstances must apply to the entire parcel, and the subject parcel shall include at least one entire lot. I don't think that's what you're looking for.
No.
My
An approved graphics plan shall be binding upon the applicant and the applicant's beneficiaries, successors, ...
My point is, can you approve an application which doesn't call out that the graphics plan in fact varies from the code? You need to call it out.
In section F, there's the last sentence says the application for a certificate of zoning clearance shall clearly indicate each applicable condition and limitation of the approved graphics plan. So that may be where, you know, the graphics plan gets approved, but there's still a provision in there that requires a variance.
That's my point.
And the certificate of zoning clearance won't be granted until that variance
That is
requested
exactly my
and
point.
approved. I mean, so I guess in effect, the commission could approve the graphics plan, but
But
the
he wouldn't approve what he's asking for because he hasn't requested a variance.
right, but the applicant would still need to request a variance because something in the graphics plan is not compliant with code.
Exactly.
Proposed graphics plan. That's what I'm
Yes.
saying. You have the ability to change the graphics.
We could approve the elements that we approve, and if there's something that we have a question on, we could say subject to.
Right, so that's why I said sign A, you know, this graphics plan is approved, every sign except for sign A. And that's not the most eloquent way to say it, but that's the point. If that's what you are all having an issue with, is sign A.
I don't think we can approve this, like that's why I've been looking at this. I was surprised there was no inclusion of any language requesting a variance. It's requesting a graphics plan. So I don't even think we can approve what's been presented to us without evidence. There's a hardship without all the proper evidentiary support you typically file along with an application for a variance, is my point.
Well, all right, hold on. In that same section you're looking at, Robert, I know there is a allowance of,
Yeah, I'm scrolling through it.
I guess my point is what Mike said earlier. Do you want to request a table to amend your application? Because even I think, in my opinion, the way that you presented this application, even if we approve it, we couldn't approve this sign one because you haven't requested a variance.
Robert, section B.
B, yeah, I just found it. But B conflicts with what I read in D.
No, I think what D says is, say you came in, you just wanted one sign that was a little bit larger. You can't just apply for a graphics plan because the graphics plan alleviates the need for a hardship. This is a plan, so it says in B, granting approval of a graphics plan, the graphics commission shall be empowered to grant a variance, special permit, or to show that the conditions required by the underlying zoning or other act of city council have been met. So you're not rezoning it. You're not, giving it some sort of other kind of benefit. I mean, that's what you guys have been doing since I've been here. Graphic plans are, if it's too complicated, there's too many, like, for example, the hospital, they chose it nationwide. That's a graphics plan for every sign because there's more than what's allowed per street frontage. Sometimes they're bigger than what's allowed. There's automatic change of copy in the CPD. So you essentially granted several variances, more variances than you probably care to know about.
Yeah, what I'd say is that section D6, upon looking at it again, it more is directed towards the applicant. You can use the graphics plan as kind of an end around to get a variance.
Right.
But section B says, you guys as the commission shall be empowered to grant a variance or special permit where it's shown that the conditions required by the underlying zoning or other act of city council have been met. So that's the determination. So as Jamie was saying, you can approve the entire graphics plan, but for the 20-foot sign if you want to, or you could say that the 20-foot sign meets the provision, the standard in subsection B, grant the variance if you want. That's up to you. But I would say, it says where it is shown that the conditions required by the underlying zoning or other act of city council have been met. So here we're talking about that Morse Road or RCO.
The RCO.
Right, whether by allowing that sign, the provisions of that RCO have been met.
LC4.
Or whether you're gonna grant a variance, and then if you're gonna grant a variance, then I would agree with you that the conditions for granting a variance, you need to go through that analysis.
Absolutely.
Which I believe there was some testimony, related to undue hardship.
What was your hardship again?
Good question.
Sign A to be code compliant would need to be 6 feet, if I'm understanding the code correctly.
Or 8.
Or 8 if it's beyond the
Setback. 10
setback.
feet, setback beyond that.
Yeah,
So if sign A is 8 feet, set beyond 10 feet back, I still have to have a graphics plan.
What about a variance that would bring you a bit, and Mr. Paul, you can, because you know the site real well, and I'm with you on keeping the consistency of granite signs. But perhaps because it is the car lot, cars are all pushed towards Morse Road, that maybe the setback could be, I don't know the site, but
I think that, Mr. McFarland, do you know what the setback currently proposed to the sign is? I think it's already
15 feet.
15 feet, so it would already fall into that 8-foot
yeah.
setback, or I'm sorry, 8-foot classification because of its setback. Every auto dealer pushes their cars out toward the street and so
Oh,
forth.
yeah.
And I'm not sure that I would see that as a mitigating condition here. And again, we've required other auto dealers along this corridor who've requested similar type monument signs of tens of 15 of 20 of feet to comply with the RCOs.
I would favor things like Mr. Cooperman said, approval of all the rest except for that, and that you guys go back and figure out what it needs to be.
I think the position of our committee is clear, and I don't think it will change. Obviously, the applicant could come back with a revised plan for this one sign, but I agree with you. Our committee doesn't have any problems with the other signs, with the absence of limestone base, which is one of the requirements of the RCO, but we long ago kind of got beyond that. We don't have any problem with any aspect of the application except the 25-foot height of the sign.
One of the hardships that was mentioned for the height of the sign was because of that pedestal that's going to be put there. Is there any other location that could be put? Because I mean, if that's going to be blocking this 8-foot sign.
It seems like you had plenty of room for that rock thing.
what is that again? A pedestal?
It's like you drive a truck up on a rock, show it off.
Okay.
But it seems like you have plenty of room between the rock and the right of way to put a lower sign that wouldn't be conflicted.
As long as you park 5-foot high cars next to the sign.
No, there's space from the right of way to all.
I know, but you're still. And Jamie, just to clarify, if we just go ahead and, if the decision is as an approval of everything except sign A, and if we choose to submit an application for just a face replacement in sign 1, that we would not receive staff comment to require variance, and we would not need to have a graphics commission hearing to put a face replacement on sign 1. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
No, you don't need grass commission approval for a face replacement.
Okay.
As long as it's not a legal non-conforming.
Got it.
It's legal non-conforming sign.
It's. And if the new sign is not any more non-conforming, then they can get it put up.
Right. Is that what you, and so in lieu of a table, you would like to proceed that in that fashion?
I'll let you craft your vote the way you guys feel that's most appropriate to the code, the intent of the code and the graphics plan. I think that it's a very, the applicant desired to reduce this height from the existing 33, the desire to reduce the dual pole. We're trying to make it more in line with the RCO. We're going to try to make it less high. So we're moving in the right direction. And I don't think the applicant would want to consider an 8-foot sign at this point.
I appreciate your common sense argument, and unfortunately, sometimes the law doesn't work that way. Okay.
Trying to think about how we summarize all of that into a motion.
Well, we just, because I don't think we need to establish a finding of fact, we just need to vote to approve the graphics plan. Without sign, the first sign number 1.
Or I think the sign A.
Or a sign A, I'm sorry. So can I have a motion to approve the graphics plan, amending it to approve it, but not approve, sign A, which is 25 feet?
I'll make a motion to approve, the graphics plan in GC 23028, amended to exclude sign A.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, go ahead and vote.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Hoy,
Yes.
Mr. Rumble,
Yes.
Mr. Cavaliers,
Yes.
Chair Cooperman.
Yes, and it's approved as amended.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mr. Cooper, is legal signature.
That was so weird.
Yeah.
In June. I mean, it's kind of cool.
You know, Robert, we don't need this, right? This,
Robert's gonna, oh, no, not,